What was the process for capturing trades before you had these tools in place?
So this is the caveman process. So a trader might do 10, 20, or 30 or more transactions in a day, trying to keep track of the transactions that you did, how that impacts your forward position, your current position. You might write that down on your notepad real fast, and you probably want to key that into your spreadsheet. Other people need access to that information, the schedulers, the risk managers. That caused a lot of time delay, potentially some inputs, errors, and it kept traders reconciling instead of looking for new opportunities.
Can you walk us through what you've built in-house with push-pull?
We're using conversational language with the counterparty and having the large language model interpret that conversation and craft the 12, 13 fields necessary to book that to the system of record. It creates a huge time savings, allows them to focus on new opportunities.
People don't generally like change. What's the view from the traders?
We have strong product owners, and they kind of understand that this is innovation, and if you don't innovate, you're going to be left behind.
So, hello everyone. I'd just like to welcome Tim Flynn from Koch Energy Services, who's joining the ipushpull podcast today. Welcome, Tim.
Rob, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Thanks, sir. So let's kick off. We're hearing a lot in the markets about AI demand and US gas. Now, what's your view on that, and how does that affect Koch, and how does that affect your team?
Yeah, we have a robust gas marketing trading service business at Koch, and the supply and demand balance in the U.S. is pretty good right now. There's been an additional 5 BCF that have come online in production over the past couple of years, but that's kind of been sucked up by LNG production and new power demand. So the forecast that I was able to find for the AI data centers is around 6 BCF of additional demand as of 2030 or so. So it's like a 4% bump in demand, and that along with the LNG facilities coming back online and a good spread to Europe and Asia seems to be a pretty robust demand environment for natural gas over the next 5 years or so.
And in terms of that demand for natural gas, how is that going to affect your traders? Particularly, how is that going to affect your team in supplying the tools in which the traders need?
Yeah, so we're in the service business, really balancing supply and demand every day. And if there's more volatility and more players in the marketplace, that just adds to the services that we can provide. And we're hoping to continue to grow our business and provide those services to the marketplace. Grow with the gas business, grow with the gas market.
And so a lot of people that might be listening to the podcast or that's seen some noise from Koch and from ipushpull in recent months know that we've been working on a project together around the automation of trade capture. Now, before we get into what we've done and how we've done that, what was the process for capturing trades before you had these tools in place?
So this is the caveman process that goes back many, many years. When traders transact on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of volume. So a trader might do 10, 20, or 30 or more transactions in a day. And to get all those accurately captured in a timely manner has always been a challenge to the natural gas trading business. Now, the exchanges have come up with some automation if you trade on the exchanges, but 30 or 40% of the business is OTC, over the counter or off the exchange. So they would require a manual input. So if you imagine that you're trading in a kind of a tight window, high volume, volatile environment, and you're doing multiple transactions, trying to keep track of the transactions that you did, how that impacts your forward position, your current position. You might write that down on your notepad real fast, and you probably want to key that into your spreadsheet. And then a lot of times, sometimes later, the traders would put that into the system of record. So there's 2 or 3 different input places, and Other people need access to that information, the schedulers, the risk managers, and all of that was not available until the trader put that into another system, whether that be Excel or the system of record. So that caused a lot of time delay, potentially some inputs, errors, and it kept traders like reconciling instead of looking for new opportunities.
And I can imagine in particular periods of the year, particularly maybe winter, for example, having these very manual processes can be a real struggle. How has your implementation of this trade capture and booking, what you call DealStream, how has that helped the traders?
Yeah, so again, going back to the volatility and the number of transactions and also the number of conversations that are going on at one time. So the traders will have 4 or 5 or 6 screens up with all having relevant information on there. So what the DealStream deal capture allows a trader to do is just take the snippet from the transaction in the language a natural language that they use to communicate with their trading partners, copy that down and have that interpreted, and it goes right into a format that could then be uploaded into the system of record. And from that point, when it's interpreted, they can evaluate it and say, yeah, this is what I meant, or no, this field needs to be changed. And then they can also automatically update their position in real time or near real time as fast as they can get that copy paste going. So that's adding time back into their day, into their trading process, cutting down kind of the cognitive dissonance of tracking multiple transactions at the same time, and giving people more opportunity to focus on making new deals and investigating opportunities rather than trade capture and reconciliation.
So, Tim, at a high level, can you walk us through what you've built in-house with push-pull, from a trader agreeing a trade in a chat to having the trade captured and ready to flow into your systems? How does that work?
Yeah, so the traders are working in a chat system, communicating with their counterparties during the trading window. Call it 6:30 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. is a really busy period. So it's kind of compressed, and there's a lot of moving parts. And traders try to navigate the bids and offers both on the exchange and then in the chat windows with multiple counterparties. And they may have as many as 30, 40 counterparties going in the morning to do price discovery, investigate where bids and offers and volumes may be available, or supply and demand, seeking to balance that out on a day-to-day basis. So having the ability to then transact over the counter through a chat window in a conversation, we're using conversational language with the counterparty, and having the large language model interpret that conversation and craft the 12, 13 fields necessary to book that to the system of record. It creates a huge time savings and a much better error rate for the trader, allows them to focus on new opportunities. So what happens is they'll be in the chat window and they will have a quick conversation with a counterparty. In that snippet of chat, they copy that down into a bot. That bot sends it down to an inference engine, which is a large language model that interprets what they said. And trader lingo, being trader lingo, could be very obscure to us normal people, but the traders understand what they're talking about. And we've trained the large language model to understand what the trader is saying with a high level of accuracy. So when that message is crafted, it goes into the UI, the user interface screen, and the trader can say, yep, that's what I meant, and push the button, and it goes right down into the system of record. Or they can say, no, you missed this one field, the location or the price is off. So they can toggle that. And then when they toggle that and send it down to the system of record, it comes back into the database, into the vector store, and the large language model learns that, hey, when the trader says this is what they actually mean. So it actually improves over time.
Yeah, no, it's a remarkable tool actually, and yeah, I can see why it would be so helpful, particularly in peak time, and considering the amount of trades that people are doing physically, OTC, counterparty. Yeah, who wants to be keying things in multiple times a day and having to particularly use syntax or a particular line or syntax to get something in? Having something that just interprets the way you chat is ideal, right?
Yeah, that's ideal. And it is interesting that we have seen trader behavior change just a little bit because they don't want to touch the deal and they want to make sure that the inference engine understands what they're saying. So some traders have adjusted their behavior and taken to posting a little snippet confirm back to the counterparty into the bot that they know that the LLM is going to interpret with near 100% accuracy. So that has a couple different significant advantages to the business. One being that the counterparty discrepancies are very low right at that point, and the settlements and confirms desk can come back and say and reference the chat and the transaction in the app, say, well, this is what you said, and this is how we interpreted it. So it really cuts down on discrepancies and errors as well. And from a compliance standpoint, that's pretty much just what they're looking for, is clear communication during these OTC transactions.
So actually, you make a really good point from a compliance and audit perspective. So actually, funnily enough, segues me into my next question. As an IT leader, from a risk and compliance perspective, what were your key concerns about bringing in a tool like this on the trading floor? Data sovereignty point of view, security, governance, things of that nature as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, we don't want our transactions out into the wild. So having those in a restricted environment after interpretation and having everything, the security around our transaction is pivotal. And from a compliance perspective, just having a better view towards what the trader is actually executing and agreeing with the counterparty and getting stronger agreement from the counterparty. From Koch's perspective, that's very important. And from a regulatory standpoint, I could imagine that would be important as well. Yeah. So getting clear communication is good for all of us.
Internally, since you've implemented this, how has attitudes changed within the firm towards adoption of AI, particularly because having spent a lot of time in various different markets, people don't generally like change. So what's the view from the traders? What's the view internally at the firm that you've got this AI tool in place now? It's been very productive. Has it changed views on the trading floor? How do people feel about it?
Yeah, so I think there's a range of views on the trading floor. And what was fantastic about this product was once one trader kind of vetted it and agreed to how well it worked for him, all he had to do was show it to the next trader, and it just kind of spread. There was very few adoption or advertisement that we did on our side. People were coming to us and saying, hey, can I get this? Can I get this? So that's how you know you're making a difference or providing something that they really like. And we kind of had that suspicion over time that, yeah, traders don't like to put deals in, right? That's kind of the last thing that they want to do. But it has given us a little more room to have better discussions with the trade floor about AI and about efficiency projects that we can use AI with, and to get people to start thinking, how can we use this new technology for the benefit, and that maybe it's not as frightening or scary as we thought, and we're willing to take some experiments and expand the reach of these programs to different areas of the business. Now, there's a range of acceptance of that thinking, but we have strong product owners, and they kind of understand that, hey, this is innovation, and if you don't innovate, you're going to be left behind. And so we have to move forward and run the experiments and then accept the benefits that we get from that.
Yeah, so that was another great segue to my next question. For the other firms that are listening to what your journey's been in terms of sort of leading the way in implementing AI automation on the trading desk, what sort of advice would you give them? Because again, there's always this buy versus build debate at firms. Now, yes, obviously from our perspective at ipushpull, we have quite a consultative approach, but again, we've already produced these products. We want people to buy them, but people want to build things in-house. What advice would you give for people listening in on this call in terms of running a project like that?
Yeah, and that's very interesting because we're trying to form up a longer term point of view around buy versus build and these tools. And there's some advantage to learning by building some of these things yourselves, but then the market and the collective market also, if they can offer that to you at a fraction of the cost with speed and reliability, then you have to take a look at, okay, do I really want to navigate and manage all this in-house? And with what you've put together, if you think about all of the different departments in a large energy company that you have to touch in order to get this thing built, it's quite a set of hurdles. And trying to go to the ETRM team, right, for the integration. Then you have the like an advanced analytics or data science team to train the LLM. And then the main thing is just the number of hours that you need from trading to train to start out with the LLM, to start training it. And then the integration pieces with the vector store and the database. So then you have to touch compliance, right? You have to go talk to them and legal as well about how you're going to do this. Like all these chats are really private, so you don't want those out in the wild. So having a package solution for all that has significant advantages to building it yourself, albeit you can learn quite a bit if you have the time and the budget and the energy to go build something like that yourself. We're really starting to think about how far we go. And a lot of times we'll get started with something and then we'll see that, oh, that's offered in the marketplace. So we need to then evaluate, do we want to use the collective wisdom of other customers that have built into this product? It's like building your own ETRM system. Like, we don't want to do that. So yeah, you really have to evaluate it on a company by company basis.
And finally looking ahead over the next couple of years, what's your vision for how tools like this can really augment what the traders can achieve? Particularly, obviously, we've focused on US gas here because obviously gas demand is really going to be increasing. So teams have to scale to meet that demand. But how do you think in terms of generally across different asset classes, particularly ones that affect Koch, how you think these sort of tools can augment what the traders do as these products mature?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some unlimited enhancements that you'll get from the marketplace, including like intercompany, interbook transactions. That's a large part of business. And then enhancing so that maybe they don't have to copy and paste. You could read the stream of information that's coming down and interpret what a transaction is. And then we're getting interest from other desks, like other commodities, for this. And really, if you have an OTC business and a high volume and a regular set of types of transactions, it's a really good fit. And I think it's going to be a fit for more complex transactions over time as well, potentially like vessels, crude trading and bulk movements, things that they don't have the transaction count necessarily, but they have a little more complexity. I think the technology will continue to grow to be able to interpret what these transactions look like and fill out a large portion of the transaction for the trader and have them edit the pieces, and it will continue to improve and to take that manual work the reconciliation, the crafting of the language out of the process, and allow the traders to focus on, hey, where's the value? How are we going to transact for the benefit of the business?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, by the way. So Tim, finally, obviously it's been a pleasure working with you as a partner on this tool. So could you articulate why you sort of selected ipushpull to work on these projects with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. We went through a bit of a vendor selection process, and as we asked around in the industry, we were pointed to ipushpull, and we reached out and started having some very good conversations kind of from the beginning. ipushpull being involved in chat applications in Europe and having a good history of delivering product to trading companies that kind of understood what we were talking about right away from a business perspective. And then we started talking about the technology. So understanding how to commercialize the technology to make it available to the marketplace while maintaining security, having a one-to-many application. And when we began to talk about through what the development requirements were, they just had a understanding of the technical aspects of it that we felt really comfortable partnering with IPP, understood what we were talking about, and they added to the discussion and improved the product along the way. They asked the right questions and just gave us a lot of confidence that we were making a good decision. And I think that's proven out in the product that's been developed.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Tim. We've loved collaborating with you. You've been excellent source of knowledge. And we really hope to expand working with you on some other projects. So we appreciate that. And we thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.